Why do so many people spend their lives dreaming big and yet never get anywhere? The answer may be simpler and more uncomfortable than it seems. Most people just talk about changing. Few actually do anything. Share your thoughts. Do you know anyone like this? Or have you ever found yourself dreaming too much and doing too little? Like this video and share it with someone who needs a little push today. Now, listen carefully. This could be the key. On the outskirts of an ordinary town lived a young man with eyes full of ambition. He was only 22 years old, but inside he carried ideas that seemed too big for the space he lived in. Every day, he talked to his parents, neighbors, and childhood friends, and he always said the same thing. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to grow, expand, conquer. One day, you'll hear about me. For a while, everyone believed him. His energy was contagious. The certainty in his voice made it seem like success was just a matter of time. But the days passed, then the months, and the years too. And that same young man continued to just talk. He didn't start a business. He didn't study what he wanted to do. He didn't look for partners or take the first step. His routine consisted of dreaming and repeating his plans like a broken record. His initial enthusiasm became a joke. Respect turned to impatience. And little by little, those who once listened to him with admiration now looked at him with pity. And he felt it. He felt the judgment in their eyes. He felt the weight of his unfulfilled promises. And, most cruelly, he felt his own voice losing strength. He no longer spoke with the same conviction. He no longer believed so much in what he said. One day, sitting on the sidewalk with an old friend, he heard an unexpected suggestion. Have you heard of a master who lives in a temple in the mountains? A master? Yes. They say he helps people who are confused, stuck. That just one conversation with him is enough to clear everything up. The young man laughed, but deep down something sparked. Perhaps for the first time, he felt that he needed something or someone to break that invisible cycle. The next morning, without telling anyone, he took a bus to the neighboring town and walked to the temple. The place was simple, made of worn stones and surrounded by silent trees. There was the master, sitting on the dirt floor, eyes closed, breathing slowly. I came because I don't know what to do anymore, said the young man. Then you are ready, replied the master, without opening his eyes. And that's how it all began. The master asked the young man to tell his story. He spoke. He opened his heart. He said he had big dreams, that he wanted to be successful, make money, make his parents proud, be recognized. But that, despite all this, he couldn't get anywhere. I just can't get started. The days go by and I do nothing, he confessed. The master listened in silence. Then, in a low, firm voice, he replied, You don't need more dreams. You need direction, and I will show you the way. He said he would teach him 7 principles, but he would reveal only 2 that day, because those who do not practice the little will never sustain the much. The young man nodded, and then the master began. First principle, learning is a daily decision, not a one-time event. You think success comes from a grand plan, but it starts with a habit, the habit of learning every day. The master explained that the world is constantly changing, and those who are not learning are falling behind. He said that the most successful people he knew had a commitment to growth in common, not to diplomas, but to real, practical, constant evolution. If you read, watch, listen to, or practice something new every day for just 30 minutes, in a year your mind will be different. But I don't know where to start, said the young man. Start where you are, learn about what you want to build, and then learn what you don't understand yet. Knowledge is the foundation of success. Second principle, execution is worth more than 1,000 plans. The master then looked straight into the young man's eyes and said, You already have all the plans in the world. Now all you need is to take the first step. He explained that most people live under the illusion of eternal preparation. They believe that they can only act when they are ready. But the secret is to act now with what you have. You spend your days imagining, but you don't get up from your chair. And that destroys your self-esteem, even if you don't realize it, said the master. But how can I act without motivation? Asked the young man. It's not motivation that generates action. It's action that generates motivation. Do it even if you don't feel like it. Then the desire will come. That is the path of those who achieve. The master then taught him a simple exercise. Every morning, choose a clear action. Write that action down on a piece of paper. Do it before the end of the day, no matter what it takes. If you do this for 30 days, you will become someone who keeps their promises. And no one is stronger than someone who keeps promises to themselves. The young man was silent. It made perfect sense, but was uncomfortable because it was real. There was no more room for excuses. The master concluded that first meeting with a powerful phrase. Those who change the world are not the most brilliant. They are the most consistent. If this content makes sense to you, take advantage and share it with someone who really needs to get started. Comment below. Do you have a habit of taking action every day, or are you still waiting for motivation? Like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next lessons. The young man's mind was like a freshly plowed field, silent but ready to generate life. The first two keys revealed by Mahesh had planted deep seeds. For the first time in years, he understood that the problem was not in his dreams, but in what he did, or rather, what he failed to do between one promise and another. The next morning, he returned to the temple with steady steps. He sat down in front of the master without saying a word. Mahesh smiled. He knew that look meant something new. Readiness. Are you ready for the next truths? Asked the master. I'm ready to change. Mahesh then pointed to the ground. Very well. Today you will learn 3 things. And each of them demands more from you than any words you have heard so far. The young man nodded, and then the master continued. Third key. Willpower does not sustain consistency. Self-awareness does. What makes you act? Asked Mahesh. The young man thought about it. When I'm excited, I act. And when you're not, I stop. The master shook his head. That's the problem with most people. They move when they're excited. But excitement is not a reliable engine. It comes and goes. It's unstable. If you depend on willpower, you'll live in cycles of momentum and stagnation. Self-awareness, according to the master, is the ability to realize that you don't need to be motivated to do what needs to be done. It's about acting with commitment, not emotion. A farmer doesn't plant only when the sun is shining. He plants even when it's cold, when it rains, when he has doubts, because he knows that the future depends on it. How to apply it? Set a fixed schedule for your projects, regardless of your mood that day. Keep a journal of what you did, not what you intended to do. Evaluate your day by what you accomplished, not by what you planned. Self-awareness is emotional discipline. It is doing what is necessary even without applause, even without guarantees. Fourth key, fear must be faced, not avoided. Tell me, what are you most afraid of? Asked Mahesh. The young man hesitated. Of trying and failing. Of people laughing. Of proving that maybe I really can't do it. The master smiled without judgment. That's natural, but running away from it is what keeps you in the same place. Fear is a common obstacle. Facing it, however, is a rare choice. He explained that all growth requires discomfort. Those who run from pain also run from evolution. And that often, fear isn't even real. It's just a story your brain makes up to protect you from something it thinks is risky. But the greatest risk, my young friend, is living trapped by what you can't stand, for fear of trying something you desire. How to apply it? Make a list of things you've been avoiding. Choose one and do it today, even if you're afraid. Write down how you felt afterwards. Over time, you'll discover that fear was just a ghost. Facing fear doesn't guarantee success, but it prevents regret. Fifth key, those who don't believe in themselves build with sand. Mahesh then told the story of a sculptor who made a perfect statue and then destroyed it with a single blow. Why did he destroy it? Because he thought no one would appreciate it, that it wasn't good enough. The master looked sternly. Many people do this with their ideas. They sabotage their own plans because of insecurity. They don't even try, they just give up. Belief in yourself is the foundation of everything. Those who don't trust their abilities won't get very far. They will always depend on the opinions of others. They will start out doubting and end up giving up. What if it goes wrong? Asked the young man. What if it goes right? Replied Mahesh. How can you apply this? Replace your internal dialogue of doubt with constructive questions. Every time a limiting thought arises, confront it with an action. Remember, no one starts out ready. Confidence comes from movement. Mahesh concluded, you don't need guarantees. You need the courage to keep going even without them. At that point, the young man was no longer asking questions. He just absorbed it. He felt that those truths were reshaping his mental structure. But Mahesh still had more to reveal. Key Friday. You become the environment you breathe. You are shaped by the company you keep. The master explained that the mind is like a sponge. It absorbs ideas, beliefs, and emotional patterns from those around you. And if you live surrounded by negative, critical, and lazy people, it's inevitable. You'll think and act like them. Your environment can be fertile ground or quicksand. The young man remembered many times when he felt unmotivated right after being with certain people. Friends who mocked him, family members who said, that's not for you. Conversations that always ended with, but what if it doesn't work out? That made me doubt myself for a long time, he said. Well, now it's time to change the soil. How to apply? Look at the 5 faces you see most often. Ask yourself, do they propel you forward or hold you back? Distance yourself if necessary. Create a new circle, even if it's at a distance, with books, videos, positive content. Environment isn't just a place. It's energy. Protect yours. With each word, the young man felt something realigning within himself, as if the bricks of a new mindset were being laid one by one, firmly. And then Mahesh said, the last lesson comes tomorrow, but take these with you and apply them immediately. Otherwise, they will just be pretty words, and words build nothing without action. The young man stood up with a different look on his face. For the first time in a long time, he felt no anxiety. He felt clarity. If you're feeling the impact of these words, share this video now with someone who needs to break out of stagnation. And comment below, which of these truths moved you the most today? Like the video and subscribe to receive the last part of this journey. The sky was orange. The last meeting between the young man and Mahesh had arrived. But there was a difference. The young man, now climbing the temple trail, no longer had the same expression as before. He wasn't looking for answers. He was ready to make commitment. When he saw the master, he bowed silently, and he sat down beside him, like an apprentice who no longer needs convincing, only direction. Do you know why I saved the last lesson for last? Asked Mahesh. Because it's the hardest? Ventured the young man. No, because it's the one that takes the most time. And those who didn't have patience with the first ones will never apply this one. The young man took a deep breath. He knew that what was coming next was not just advice. It was the truth that separated those who try from those who succeed. 7th key to win is to remain. Always. The master was direct. Everyone knows how to start, but almost no one knows how to continue. He explained that most people start out enthusiastically, but that enthusiasm dies with the first challenge, with the first doubt, with the first criticism, or with the absence of quick results. Do you want to know why so few succeed? Because almost everyone gives up when they should persevere the most. The young man nodded. He remembered all the times he had stopped, that he promised to try again next week, that he let routine swallow his dreams. And now he realized it wasn't fate that was holding him back. It was himself. Mahesh continued, persistence isn't glamorous. It doesn't generate applause. It's invisible, lonely, and tiring. But it's the only thing that guarantees real results. He then pointed to a huge rock in the corner of the temple. Do you know how it got like this, polished and smooth? Wind, drops, one by one. For years, the rock that seems unchangeable bends to repetition. That's what persistence is, one drop a day without fail. How to apply it? Create minimal but sacred routines. Example, 1 hour of study, 30 minutes of project work, 15 minutes of reflection. Nothing else. But every day, use a visual chart to keep track. Seeing progress, even if slow, motivates the brain to continue. Resist the urge to give up. Every time you think about stopping, ask yourself, if I continue just one more day, what could change? Start over whenever necessary, but never stop completely. Starting over is part of the journey. Stopping is not. Mahesh then paused for a long time. He concluded, don't confuse slowness with failure. Sometimes growing slowly is exactly what you need to stay on your feet when you get there. The young man listened to everything as if each word were a brick building a new being inside him. And then Mahesh changed his tone. Now I'll show you what happens to those who live surrounded by bad influences. He got up and led the young man to an abandoned shack. Inside, there were fallen pictures, cobwebs, and the echo of a neglected environment. This was the home of a man who dreamed of being a musician. But he lived among people who mocked him, who said that's for bums, who made fun of his guitar. And what happened? He put away his guitar. He started laughing with them. And he died listening to other people's music. The young man felt a tightness in his chest. How many dreams die not because of a lack of talent, but because of too much outside noise? Mahesh then continued. 3 great dangers of the wrong environment. You stop thinking big. If you live with people who only complain, you start to see life through the same eyes. Your mind gets used to the small things. Your confidence dissolves. The more you hear, that's not for you. The more your brain accepts it as truth. Your time becomes empty. Pointless conversations, constant criticism, unnecessary comparisons. All of this drains your energy without you even realizing it. How can you protect yourself? Invest in new connections. You don't have to abandon everyone around you, but you can choose who influences your decisions. Filter what you hear. Not all criticism is useful. Learn to silence what doesn't build you up. Build a space for focus. A physical and mental place where you can reconnect with your goals without external distractions. Mahesh then said something that struck a chord. If you walk with 5 lost people, you will be the 6th. But if you walk with 5 determined people, you will be the next to win. After that, the master walked over to a rock and sat down. Now, listen to this carefully, because it will be the last thing I ever say to you. The young man approached and fixed his eyes on him. Mahesh held out his hand and closed his fingers as if holding something invisible. What is here? No one could take away from you, but you can waste it every day. What is it? Your time. How can you put the 7 keys into practice? Create a system. Don't live on emotion. Live on structure. Use alarms, lists, schedules. External clarity helps the internal mind. Review your week every Sunday. What worked? What needs improvement? What is pending? Reread these 7 keys once a week. Repetition is the secret to transformation. Teach someone else. Those who teach remember better. Share these truths with someone who is just starting out. Be patient, but never passive. Wait for the fruits, but keep watering. Summary of the 7 keys. Learn every day. Act even without motivation. Work with awareness, not emotion. Challenge your fears one by one. Trust yourself before seeking approval. Change your environment. Change your route. Keep going. Always. Every day. The young man then stood up. His mind was light. His heart was firm. He knew that his life would not change by magic. But now he had the manual. And what had seemed nebulous before was now clear. Change is not complicated. It is hard work. Before leaving, he looked at Mahesh. What should I do now? The master smiled. Now you have two choices. The first, keep all this and go back to your old life. The second, apply each of these truths and change for real. The young man took a deep breath and walked in silence. But his steps were not the same. They had weight, direction, purpose. If this story touched you, comment below. Which of the 7 keys will you start applying today? Share it with someone who is stuck in promises and needs to move forward. Like the video and turn on the bell to receive new transformations like this one. Remember, what separates those who dream from those who achieve is the ability to keep going even when no one is watching.